Let's focus in on earnings then. And Mahindra Life Space Developers is the counter in focus. It's posted its Q2 results, and just to read out a few updates for you, revenues came in at 59.2 crore rupees and PAT has stood at 6.5 crore rupees. We're joined by the management. In fact, Arvind Subramanian, who is the MD and Chief Executive Officer of the company, is joining in. Thank you so much, Arvind, for taking the time. I want to ask, a lot of people are talking about the return of the residential home or the residential buyer. What are the highlights of the second quarter for you, and which projects achieved revenue recognition? And are you seeing those encouraging trends that everybody is speaking about?
Q2 has in fact indeed been a very heartening quarter for the real estate industry. And we are seeing a very strong rebound across markets, across price points. This is both on the B2C side of our business, which is our residential business, as well as our B2B business, which is our industrial parks business. I think there's clear runway and momentum going into the next few quarters as well. If I look back at Q2, after several quarters, we now come back into the black, and I'm hoping this augurs well for the quarters coming forward as well. This is on the back of revenue recognitions and profit recognitions of some of our large projects. We got an OC for our Gurgaon project, which was the Tower C in our Luminaire project, and that's a substantial contributor. But equally, from a profitability perspective, the fact that our industrial parks business has done well has been a strong contributor to the bottom line.
Good morning, Mr. Subramanian. This is Cheryl also joining in the conversation. We know that real estate has been a focus area for most of the consumers. So have you actually seen dramatic improved customer interest going in the quarter gone by? And also, what are the planned launches in the pipeline? Any scaled up planned in the residential activity in particular?
I think there's a very significant surge in customer interest. It's coming from perhaps two or three different factors. One, over the past year, customers have not had a chance to engage as much with the category. So now they're coming out in large numbers, doing site visits and wanting to put pen to paper as far as bookings are concerned. But also the experience that many families have gone through during the lockdown over the past 18 months, they've realized that they need a better quality home, perhaps a larger home, a home with better amenities. So all of these reasons are driving customer interest. At the same time, mortgage rates are at an all-time low, so affordability is great. And savings have increased. The many families are telling us that they've not spent on vacations, they've not spent as much on entertainment as they would in a typical year. And therefore, with that enhanced savings, they are wanting to put that against their next home.
All right. So all of this, Arvind, is seeming to me that it's giving you a little bit more confidence in the business as things stand right now. Could you share your expectations, your targets for residential sales as well as construction and leasing in the near to medium term?
We are building towards 2025, which for us is the first big milestone we are gearing up to. In 2025, we would like to be doing about 2,500 crores of pre-sales in our residential business and about 500 crores of annual leasing in our industrial parks business. If we to get to that, we need to acquire about 2 or 3 parcels of land every year, totaling to a sales value of about 2,000 crores, and ensure that our construction is on track and our sales capabilities are built to be able to handle that kind of scale. That, as I said, is going to be our first pitch stop or our first milestone. And from there onwards, we will set our sights and our targets even more ambitiously in the years following that.
We've seen a sharp rise actually in raw material costs, especially for building materials like iron and steel. Could you tell us what's the impact of this spike in the raw materials? Also, can you now confidently actually go ahead and raise prices as well on back of that?
what we're seeing with the input cost inflation, all our commodities that go into construction are at near their all-time highs. You look at steel, you look at cement, copper, plastics, they're all trading at lifetime high values. And that naturally puts pressure on margins and cost. But when you combine that with the fact that there is very strong demand, it gives you an opportunity to absorb some of that cost inflation in price increases. And we've been doing that steadily. Every quarter, we have a discipline of taking prices up across our portfolio by 1 or 2 percentage points. And that has stood us in good stead because, it's a gradual and calibrated approach. We're not taking knee-jerk reactions to the cost pressures.
Now, I know for a fact that you had a thrust in affordable housing for quite a while. Could you take us through the demand trends in that particular segment as well as in the mid-income segment?
When we started the year, we started in the midst of the second lockdown. So the first half of Q1, because of various local level lockdowns, was quite challenging with customers, genuinely worried and understandably worried about health and safety before anything else. And therefore, we saw very muted demand in the first 6 weeks. I'd say till about mid-May or so. From mid-May onwards, as the various local lockdowns got eased, we started seeing demand coming back, and it built up very strongly in Q2. Now, Q2, mind you, is seasonally a weak quarter, particularly for Mumbai and Pune real estate because of the monsoons. But despite it being a seasonally weak quarter, we saw very strong demand. We've done 300 crores of sales in the second quarter, taking us to about 450 crores for the half year, which is a very strong performance in the context of our business and our scale.
Mr. Subramanian, I have a few questions. I'll club them into one. Could you tell us about the key trends that you witnessed actually in Mahindra World City centers across Chennai as well as Jaipur? Also, if you could tell us how have the rental negotiations or renegotiations with your commercial clientele panned out in the quarter gone by? Could you tell us how it's actually looking like right now?
Sure. So Mahindra World City for us is actually our industrial parks and integrated cities business. So we have that we lease to manufacturing companies or services companies where they set up their factories, and we have an approach where it's an integrated city. So there is residential developments also as part of the city, and it's a walk to work kind of concept. We are seeing, and I've been saying this over the last several quarters, we were seeing strong inquiries for the industrial parks business, but those inquiries were not converting into actual business because many of these inquiries come from multinational companies, and for them to take a firm decision, international travel was still restricted, and it was not possible for them to visit the land, and that's a very important part of their decision-making process. As international travel and domestic travel has opened up, in this quarter, we've seen that demand or those set of inquiries manifest into actual lease transactions. So we've done about 75 crores of leasing in our industrial parks business in this quarter, and the runway into Q3 and Q4, the lead pipeline is extremely strong. So I'm very, very optimistic that this business will build up quite nicely. And what's driving this is really a combination of, we're reading this in the press every day, strong demand across consumer categories, combined with very high capacity utilizations in the factories today. And that naturally would prompt investments in expansion in manufacturing capabilities. And we are ideally suited because we have plug and play infrastructure. Clients who come to us can get up and running very, very quickly. That's our proposition.
Arvind, thank you so much for taking the time and for speaking to ET Now.